Tingles with flyby. Hello, my tinglelings. As some of you know, I am currently going to university for my second degree. My first bachelor's degree was in linguistics. So this degree is wildlife conservation biology. So one of the courses I'm taking this semester is plant ID. And part of what we had to do was to assemble an herbarium, which is a collection of dried plants. So this right here is my herbarium. So I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was pretty cool. And so I'm just going to show you it. I'll go through them one by one. There's 5 specimens in here. So let's grab out. First sheet. Just make sure we're in shot there. And where am I going to set that down? Set that down there. So, this is my first specimen. So this is part of a shrub. It grows to about 1.5 meters high, pretty sprawling, I would say. So maybe 2 to 3 meters kind of wide across as well. And you can see it has kind of this phylloid arrangement for the leaves, so kind of a little bit more like pine needles, very reduced. A regular leaf, so you have a few different types of leaf shapes. A regular leaf shape is called simple, basically just means it's not. So this is very reduced because they look a lot like pine needles. The species for this particular plant I have down here, this is the little guide that we have to put on the bottom, is it's a Calatrix tetragonia. That is the ID that I ended out with. So it's a part of the Myrtaceae family, which is, if you know, eucalypts, which are, well, if you watched my driving video on the Great Ocean Road, well, or anything basically outside in Australia, then you see eucalypt trees. They're really common in Australia. They're also a Myrtaceae, but obviously this is a different type of Myrtaceae. You can see we have a little bit of secondary thickening here, woody growth. Usually if you have woody growth, it means that it's not an annual plant, so growing more than 1 year. And these are the flowers. You can see they kind of form in these inflorescences. So if you have a flower that just comes up and stays on its own, that's just called a, what is it called? Terminal? Well, it's like a terminal flower, so if it just comes up. Yeah, I get a lot of, some grass flowers. Anyway. But you can see these are kind of, they bunch together, so you have a lot of flowers together. You can almost see, don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but you can see the little anthers sticking out. That's what all these little dots are. I actually do have some closer up pictures of this one. So I'll show you some that I took under the microscope of this. This specimen I collected at Anstey Hill Recreation Park, which is kind of outside Adelaide. This was collected near Gate 3. You have this here. and about 200 meters from the car park. It's kind of gently up a hill. There's a little kind of creek bed. There was no water in this creek bed, but this specimen was collected from a plant that was kind of a bit up from that creek bed. I collected this on the 19th of September. We went out there, and it looks like we actually probably have a little bit of some sort of grass strand that's mixed in here. So, this has been mounted on archival paper. It's an A3 sized piece of paper, which is normal for herbarium sheets, at least down here. I'm not sure what the standard is internationally, actually. Or, I mean, more specifically, I guess, in the US. I just know that is common here. It's not all... So, it's been put down with little bits of glue, so you can see these little bits are... It's glued just at a few different spots. Herbarium sheets are basically designed as a reference for a plant at a specific place and time. So because I've put down, we've got the GPS coordinates from where this was collected, and then also obviously the date that I collected it. And so because we have that, the specimen, if somebody comes back now that this has been dried, they can look and see this particular specimen, that it existed at this point, and also to see, so if you check in 100 years to see if there's any difference, or to see, oh, well, we don't see Calatrix tetragonia in that spot anymore, but we used to. And basically that sort of thing. So, pretty interesting. This particular plant will have, I have 3 native species and 2 invasive species in my herbarium. This is a native species here, so quite good. That's pretty much all I have to say about Calatrix tetragonia. So let's move on to our next one. I don't know the common name of that one. Obviously I'm studying in a scientific course, and so we focus more on the scientific names. Some of these I do know, though. First 2 are my most kind of finicky specimens. After that it'll be a bit easier. So here is our second one. And so this is Echium plantageneum. It's known by a few different names. It's actually quite a pretty flower. You can see it has this kind of darkish blue. It has a real purpley color when it's not dried. It's very gorgeous, but quite a problem. This is one of our invasive species. You can see here, so because herbarium sheets are all one particular size, if you want to try and fit a bit more, you'll see in some places we're kind of folding things around, and that's just basically to make sure, just to get everything to fit within a single sheet. So you can see we have, I've actually pulled this up by the root because I didn't want to leave it behind since it is an invasive plant. And so you've got that. You can see we've actually got, this is basically this kind of dead growth that we can see here is how it looked when I pulled it. So this I did pull, the first 3 are very close to each other, within about 10 maybe 20 meters. One was actually down in, well, this one was down in the creek bed, but kind of across the path. The other one was down in the creek bed. That's our next one though, we'll get to that one. So the creek bed was just full of this, which is our Acacia Calientes. In South Australia, the common name we tend to give this one is Salvation Jane. In other parts of Australia, it's known as Patterson's Curse, which is probably a little bit more appropriate since it's a very invasive species. So it's quite well established, you see it everywhere, and it is a big problem. You can see here, we've actually got hairs along the stems. You can actually feel them. They're just a bit present there. Hairs can be served to help prevent desiccation. To prevent desiccation. From breaking the wind, so that there's not so much wind, that they don't get as much impact from the wind as it comes by. And it also can be to try and prevent herbivory, so prevent animals from wanting to eat your tissues because they don't like the hairs, and that can probably be quite successful. This plant is also a eudicot, which I haven't really gone into those specifications, but basically because it has a... Oh, actually, this is a good example. So you see when these come up, they kind of have one flower. You do occasionally see a few flowers off here, but there's just the one flower as opposed to the other one where it was no inflorescence because it had lots of flowers altogether. You have multiple flowers on the same plant, but they kind of all have their own little area. I don't actually remember if these come out or not. I don't think they really ever are in an inflorescence. So, that is our Acacia Calientes. Patterson's Curse. It's very pretty though. Very purple and pretty. All of the plants that I have here are bisexual, so they have a stamen in the middle and then anthers around, which means you have male and female parts within the same flower and within the same plant. You can actually get some plants that are male and female, we have a separate male plant or a separate female plant, or will they have separate male flowers and female flowers on the same plant? Different ways. I was thinking, because I had to go to the Botanic Garden for an assignment that I did. It was a little bit loud, but I was thinking if I could find a time where it wasn't so loud outside. I was thinking maybe late afternoon. There might not be construction going on. Or maybe early morning if they open early. Anyway. So, I was thinking about doing like a little walkthrough, and we could do a little show and tell through the Botanic Gardens. So, if you are interested in that, let me know down in the comments so that I can put it higher up my list. I have so many ideas. You can't always decide what ones I should do. Oh, lost a leaf there. Lost another leaf. Okay. The last ones shouldn't be too bad. Oh, I just broke it. Oh no. Okay, well I'm gonna have to glue that back down. I was gonna turn this in today, but I guess I won't. But you know I love you because I'm sharing my delicate work and ruining it so I can share it with you. Anyway, this is a really interesting plant. I'm really excited about this one. So, this is, oh, the last one, the family for that one is the Boraginaceae. That's really well done. That's not staying either. Okay, anyway, I'll glue that down and then turn it in. I'll probably later. Anyway, this plant is the Drosera auriculata. This was down in the creek bed opposite side from the Salvation Chain. The common name for this group of type of plants is a sundew. And the most interesting part of this plant is not the flowers. That's just cute. They're really small, little, kind of pinkish flowers. It's these little parts. This is actually a carnivorous plant. So it has these little structures, which are kind of like a little bowl shape, and they have you can see all these little structures going off, and they get a little bit of sticky residue, and so they have little drops. That's why they're called sundews, is because when you see the sun through, they really catch the light. And so you have all of this there. And so then if an insect goes across, then they can get trapped in this little area. And then the plant will digest the dead insect and use that as nutrition. This is an adaptation that these plants have evolved, particularly in low nutrient systems. So it's not always easy to get your nutrients from the soil or from the air. And so if you are scarce on resources, then carnivory can be quite useful. So this is a plant that employs that. I'm going to set this one to the side because I don't want to break it anymore. Let's take the next two out, because I think trying to take them out one at a time is not the best. Okay. So this one we have here is from the last, this one is from one of my favorite parks, actually, is Onkaparinga River National Park, down south of Adelaide. It's got a lovely little gorge, and you can always see kangaroos there, lots of kangaroos. So you can see it's kind of got this grassy type look. This is Acacia Calientes. This is native here to Australia. That Drosera auriculata, the sundew, is also native here. Low nutrient soil, low nutrient systems is very common here in Australia because we have very old soils. Which, anyway, I won't get into the whole soil making process right now because that could be a whole video on itself. Soil is fascinating. Anyway, so this is the Acacia Calientes. This one was actually, so we're going along a path, and you kind of have these, they're not very, the foliage isn't super dense in eucalypt forests. Like, you never get, like, a blackout covering. It's not dark enough, because eucalypts let a lot of light through. And so, but anyway, so this is like, so you have kind of like a eucalypt woodland or forest, whatever you want to call it. I haven't figured out that. That's another assignment, which is due next week. Anyway, if you want to know about the community structure of the Onkaparinga River National Park, let me know. I'll tell you all about it. Acacia Calientes in that one as well. Anyway, so this one was right along the path, more so I didn't go off the path in that area, but it sounds like it's actually quite common, not just right next to the path, but kind of just in a little bit of an opening area. So this is a monocot, which you can tell it has this parallel venation. Kind of, you know, if you tear a piece of grass and it kind of goes stringy, that's what monocots do, because they have their vascular tissues are kind of in these lines. Whereas if you get like an oak tree or something like that, the vascular tissues are more netted and that sort of thing on the leaves. So this is the Acacia Calientes. It's a beautiful raceme here. You can see that's a type of inflorescence, is the raceme. I don't know what I'm saying. So you can see in here we have some, these are blooms that haven't blossomed yet, buds, maybe, that haven't blossomed yet. You can see we have some that have blossomed here. It's really interesting about Calientes. You have kind of, with the flower, well, you have 6, so I'm not going to have enough fingers here. But so you have 3 kind of in a top layer and then 3 in a bottom layer. If you're actually looking at the way it grows, it's kind of have 3 slightly on top, 3 slightly behind, which would be offset. And so that's kind of how they're arranged. Actually, the arrangement of different flowers is very interesting. And there's different ways of analyzing them, which is also quite interesting. I may do a video on that, but I'll want bigger flowers than this for that. Because it's quite hard to show you with small flowers, and I don't have a microscope. I really want one though. That's something I've thought about too, is that it'd be really fun to do like microscopic ASMR. One day we'll do microscopic ASMR. Okay, I'm gonna stop dreaming now about microscopic ASMR. Anyway, although I did take a picture under the microscope of my finger, you can see like all the ridges. Anyway, really interesting. So Acacia Calientes, this is a native. It's a member of the lily family, which is not technically actually a family. It's either polyphyletic or paraphyletic. I don't remember which one. Anyway, it's not monophyletic. That's what we'll say. So the actual family that it's a part of is the Asphoelidaceae. And it is part of the order of Asparagales, which, you guessed it, is where asparagus comes from. There's also yucca plants are in the same one, and then also any sort of lily flowers and that sort of thing do come from that same order as well. Also the yuccas in South Australia, but I don't have anything to show you about that, so I don't know why I brought it up. But anyway, that's our Acacia Calientes. It has this really nice kind of light blue purple color. Very pretty. And these actually, this one doesn't go all the way down to the root, but these actually connect. They're geophytic and they grow from an underground tuber. So they grow up out of the tuber. This we collected 2 days later, so this was on the 21st of September. And by gate 12, about 50 meters from the entrance. Now my final specimen is super exciting. I see this everywhere. This is the Cimbrium officinale, which is a type of sedge mustard. I collected this on a property for one of my friends. because I didn't have enough families represented in the other specimens that I had collected, and we had to have 5 families. I won't get into complaining about the disorganization of this class. Anyway, so this is the sedge mustard. The flowers actually are quite a bit smaller here than what they looked like originally, because they've really dried up a lot. These have an interesting, they're a kind of 2 and 2 for their petals. And then their sepals, which is the green bits underneath, are, I don't remember the number. I don't have the floral diagrams here. But this is I kind of took it very easy with my invasive species. These are ubiquitous, they are everywhere, and they are problems. But I wanted to see what this one was actually, because I see it everywhere. There's a few different species of Specimen that you do see around here, apparently. But this one, what kind of makes it distinct is this kind of, the way these, I'm not actually quite sure even what they are. They look kind of just like little offshoots. Like they could be leading to more flowers, because it does flower off, I think. But you see these little nodules, kind of quite interesting. I don't know exactly what they are. That's quite fascinating. Anyway, so this is our Specimen officinale, which is the sedge mustard. I assume if you take the seeds of it, I think it is edible. So you can season lots of mustard because it grows everywhere. As do a couple other species of Specimen, but this is, I think, the most widespread within South Australia. This one originates in not South Africa, somewhere, I think, a little bit north of South Africa. Don't remember exactly where it originates, but yeah. Obviously no natural predators here, so a bit of a problem. Kind of takes more than its fair share of the nutrients for the other plants. So that is the Specimen officinale. So there we go. Now you've seen my little herbarium, which I apparently broke one of my specimens for you, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Now I'm going to need to go glue that back so I can turn this in on Monday now. So, thank you for joining me though. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I've had fun making my herbarium, and if you are interested in plant videos, let me know, because I am a budding botanist, so I'm learning more and would love to share more with you. We can go very, very technical, or more simple, or just going out for some field visits to show you some things. Depends on what you're interested in. And let me know if you're interested in information on my community project. Oh, have a little bit of a Salvation Jane there, you can tell by the little hairs on it. There we go. You're supposed to include those things if they fall off. Not going to. Don't tell anyone. Anyway, yeah, if you're interested in the community structure, that's kind of a little bit more, rather than botany, towards ecology, which obviously is in the field that I'm going towards as well. So quite interesting, because it talks about the structure of kind of, well, the woodland forest area. So it could be interesting, and I have lots of sciencey looking pictures before that, so I could kind of walk you through that. So let me know if you're interested in. But otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, my tinglelings. Thanks for watching this video.